Hey YouTube, so this is your favorite nurse B. I'm back with another video. I'm going to talk to you all about tips on how to be a new nurse, things to do, what not to do, things to look out for. So my first tip is first think long and hard about whether or not you want to work as a graduate nurse or a graduate practical nurse. So basically what that is, you're fresh out of school, you don't have your license yet, or you're not registered yet, so you haven't taken any type of NCLEX, and you're right out of school and you want to work as a nurse while trying to study for your NCLEX and then taking your NCLEX. It's a lot of stress. At the end of the day, a job is a job. They're there to pay you and you're there to work for them. Like, of course, yeah, they want you to pass a test because you're going to work there as a nurse, so they want you to pass a test, but really their main focus is having somebody in that facility working for them. So you have to look out for yourself and say, okay, is this something I can do? Am I a strong enough student to be able to do this? Can I handle the stress of doing it? Will I even have the time to do this? Do you really want to put that much stress on yourself? Like, I know coming right out of nursing school, you might have not worked while you were in school, so like it looks good to make, you know, this amount of money, but just think about it. It's something to really think about because it can really hurt your chances if you don't pass the test. Then you might not be able to work for the facility again. It could be like a real downer for you. So look into that and see if it's good for you. The next step that I would say, next tip would be, you have to set a standard for yourself. So when you go into that facility or that hospital and you you're in your interview or you're having a conversation with whomever's hiring you, set a standard. So if you know that you're going to work as a graduate nurse, talk to them and say, look, I really want to get some experience while I'm still studying for my NCLEX, but I plan on taking my test on this day, and I need to have that full week off. That's what I know is going to be best for me and best for my patients, and to help me to be the best nurse I can be. You have to set that standard right at the moment when you first come in the door, okay? Set a standard for yourself as well. Like, anytime you're going into something new, set a standard and be like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I get up at this time and I leave for work at this exact time every single day. That's exactly what I have to do to be successful. You have to think about things like that and just hold yourself to a higher standard, a higher bar, coming right through the gate. Don't come through the gate thinking, you know, oh, I'm a new nurse, I can just kind of chill, feel for the waters, like I don't really have to step my game up yet. Don't think like that. And set a standard for that employer as well. Because if you come through the door telling them, I want this, this, and that, they either take it or leave it. But at least they know where to categorize you. Okay, this person's not going to play. And when they tell you, yeah, we'll give you that week off for you to do NCLEX, say, you know what? Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Can I please get that in writing just to make sure that we're both on the same page? Get everything in writing, you know? So that's my first thing, is to set a standard for yourself personally, and also for whatever facility or hospital or business that you're working for. Step or tip number 3, which I think is probably one of the most important things that you can do as a new nurse, is to remain humble. Stay humble. Stay humble, little nurse. And I think anybody in any field that you're in, you have to really make sure that you do that, because you might come through the gate, you probably graduated top of your class, or you like, I got this, I know my stuff, they can't tell me nothing. Like, don't come in like that, because we're people taking care of people, and we're gonna make mistakes. Why? Because we're people, we're human. So don't come in thinking that, oh, I'm at the top of my game, I don't need to learn anything, all I need you to do is show me X, Y, and Z and I got this. Be confident in yourself and your abilities and what you've learned, you know, while in school, but just remain humble. Just stay humble. You don't have to always continue to, oh, she wrote this wrong. What kind of nurse is she? Like, you don't have to come in talking about other people at the job. You don't have to come in thinking that you're better than anybody. All that's going to do is make people look at you like, really? You don't even have yours on the wall yet, or you just got yours on the wall, and you're going to come to me with this type of attitude, with this type of, oh, I'm better than you way of looking at things. Don't come in like that. Stay humble, because you will make a mistake. And being on that high horse, you're probably going to make a mistake that's like a huge mistake. And depending on the way that you come into that environment, you come in humble and you come in willing to learn. That depends on, you know, what's going to be the outcome of that mistake that you make. Are people going to vouch for you and be like, you know what, she's a really hard worker, or he's a really hard worker, I know they tried their best, you know, it was just a mistake. Or they're going to be like, yeah, you know, you can't tell her anything, you can't tell him anything he made the mistake because he wasn't listening. So stay humble, and this is for all the nurses out there. For my tip number 4, and this is just going back a little bit for very, very new nurses, is during your orientation process, you might be precepting with somebody who doesn't necessarily fit your way of thinking or your way of working, or you might think this is a horrible preceptor, like I don't vibe with this person. Now, of course, you can say something about it, or you can just deal with it. Just deal with it and learn what you have to learn. But when you're looking for a mentor at a job, you definitely need to try to find somebody who either fits you and your work ethic, fits your personality, or think about a teacher that you had that really helped you in learning, really helped you to be a better student, who, even if they thought differently than you, or their personality was different than you, like something about them like helps you to understand what you had to understand. Think about that teacher and try to find somebody at your job that fits that type of personality, and just kind of go to them and see what they're doing. Ask them about what would you do in this scenario, or just work around them and see how they do their job. And you're probably going to be able to vibe with that person a little bit better. So you might be orientated with such and such, but you might go towards this person more. So that's fine, but you got to kind of seek out these people and find your mentors at your job. Because something that somebody taught me right before I even got out of nursing school, I had just asked a nurse during clinicals, I was like, is there some advice you can give to a new nurse? And that's a good question to ask anybody. But she told me, she said, just remember that you're never alone. You're never alone. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. But if you really think about it, you're not. And that's like the beauty of nursing, is that, of course, you as an individual have to carry out your own responsibilities, but there's such a huge team surrounding you that's going to be there for you, because you're there for that patient. So don't think, oh shoot, I don't know how to do this. I'm gonna have to just figure this out on myself. Take that time to humble yourself and ask somebody, like, look, okay, so I had this going on. I don't know. I completely forgot, or like, I'm not comfortable. Do you think you can show me how to do it? Or, just, I want to see you do it first. Or I know this part, but I kind of forgot about this part. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But find the people that fit you. Like for me, I'm a relatively, I wouldn't say organized person, but I like to work around. I like to go for teachers or go for mentors that, to me, they kind of do things by the book, but they know when to kind of bend the rules a little bit. Those are the type, because I think that it's important to know the rules and know how to follow out a procedure, but to know when to kind of go around it. And I know I'm not supposed to do that, but that's what I like, because I like to know, okay, shoot, if somebody's around, this is exactly how I need to do it. But if I need to get it done, this is how I'm going to do it. So that's the type of people I like to be around. I don't like to be around somebody the whole time they're cutting corners, like to the point where I'm just like, dang, like, do you do anything right? Like, but in nursing, I mean, in the real world, you have to just do it. But I like to be around somebody who has some type of professionalism about them. They're very patient oriented, and they enjoy doing what they're doing. Sometimes you're going to be with a preceptor who is miserable. They don't want to do this. They don't want to train you. They don't want to work with you. They hate having an orientee. It is what it is, but that they have to do that for you. And to say that, I also say, make sure that if they tell you get 10 days of orientation, get your 10 days of orientation. That's your time to make mistakes, your time to ask questions, your time to say, I don't know. It's not your time to be lazy. You need to make the most of that. Don't just sit back and be like, oh, she's gonna do it, I'm gonna sit back and chill. But that's your time to grow and to learn as a new nurse. So that's another thing as far as setting a standard. Talk to whomever's hiring you and say, I understand sometimes things get crazy and you're not able to give me my full amount of orientation. I totally understand that. But I really feel that this is what I would need as a nurse, is to get those full 10 days, and I really want to be able to do that. That's really important for me. And that sets a standard as well, because I'm telling you, like I said, these facilities, they just need people to work. So of course they don't want to just put you out there, but if they're short on nurses and you're here in orientation, they might just take you off orientation for that day and have you work the floor. But You want to get all the time you can, because the worst thing is that you get done with orientation and you're like, well, nobody taught me this, nobody taught me this, I don't even know. And you just kind of had this aloof attitude like, psh, they didn't care to teach me anything, I don't care to learn anything. Don't have that mindset. Just go in trying to get as much information as you can and use out as much of your orientation as possible. So another step, another tip that I would say is to remain positive. Like, remember why you went into nursing. Remember why, you know, you wanted to help people and care for people, and just stay positive. It's gonna be crazy transitioning from being in the NCLEX nursing school world if everything is perfect and you only have one patient to take care of, and I'm gonna be able to wash my patient's hair and to clip their nails and clean their nails and polish. I'm gonna be able to do all these things for my patients and to do this and do that. And yeah, that might not be the case when you get out into the real world and you see, like in nursing homes, like you might have 50 patients to yourself, or you might have 25 patients to yourself, and you're like, there's no way I can do this. Or you're around nurses or around, you know, CNAs or just people in general who are so negative, and you're like, dang, like maybe I shouldn't care like they don't care. You shouldn't think like that. You should definitely remain positive and remember why you're doing this. Think about all these people that really need you and depend on you. Patients depend on us to know what we're talking about, to be willing to do it, and to do it, you know, in a very respectful way and professional way. So remain positive no matter what. Whatever you have to do, have a mantra in your head, and as soon as you get up, okay, today I'm going to do my best to be my best, to be the nurse, the best nurse that I can be. Today, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever you got to do to stay positive. If in the middle of the work, you got to call, you know, your significant other or your mom or whomever and be like, I can't take this, it's so stressful, I just want to leave. Somebody in your life that you know is positive and there for you, call them and just kind of have your little 5 minutes of venting and breaking down, and then get back to work. I've done that plenty of times. It's been so many times where I've been at work and I was ready to walk out. Like, I was like, I don't care. I'm walking out. Like, I'm done. But I would call my husband and he would talk to me and I vent to him, and he'd be like, you know, baby, just keep going through. You only got such and such amount of hours. Just get through it. It's going to be okay. So try to stay positive. It's really stressful out there, but it's a lot of rewards, and just really think about the people that are dependent on you. Ooh, it's parched. Okay. Another tip is a teacher for my clinical. She told me, or told us a long time ago, shout out to Miss Jones. She was like, first you need to learn your role and then build your team. So to me, that really resonated with me, because I was like, that makes sense. First, you need to figure out, okay, as a nurse, what do I have to do? When I come in, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that, get that together, prepare this, assess that, call, whatever you have to do. Work on what you have to do as a nurse first. Understand your role as a nurse in that facility. Then you build your team, meaning, say for instance, if you're at a nursing home, you can come in as an LPN or as a new RN and be a charge nurse. Not so much at the hospitals, but as in a nursing home, definitely. And you could have maybe 5 or 6 CNAs, you know, working underneath your license. So you have to build that team up in whatever way that you need to. But you have to first be a nurse. Now, I believe you have to be a nurse before you're a charge nurse. You have to know what it is that you have to do for your patients first before you can look at such and such and be like, you need to do that. You ain't did that right. But then turn around and you're staying after 2 hours after work because you were so busy chasing around CNAs and NATs all on what they're doing, and you didn't even do your work. So of course there's a balance, because you just can't sit at the desk and just focus on what you're doing as a nurse and there's people out here not doing their job. Of course, you have to create a balance of, okay, I'm gonna work on what I'm doing, but I'm also gonna communicate with my staff and make sure that they're doing what they have to do. But first, get a firm foundation of what you have to do as a nurse before you can just sit there and point the finger at CNAs or NATs or CMTs and look and point out what they're not doing. Of course, if such and such needs to get clean, you can talk to a CNA or an aide or whomever and be like, you know, can you go change this person for me? Or when you get a chance, or you probably haven't got to her yet, but she needs to be changed. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't come in thinking, oh, I'm the charge nurse, I got this, like y'all gonna do whatever I tell y'all to do. That's so petty, because a lot of these CNAs, NATs, and CMTs know more than you do as a new nurse. So don't even go there with them. Remain humble, stay positive, learn as much as you can, and then work on building up your team, being more of a disciplinary, being more of the supervisor that you would see yourself being. So that was a great tip that I got from her. Why am I so dry, y'all? And then the last tip that I have for you all is this like phrase or thing, is that the buck stops with you as a new nurse. A lot of times you don't really know what's going on, so you might trust and believe that something that you started will get finished on another shift. It might not happen. Let me give you all a scenario that happened with me as a new nurse. So I was working a double that day. As always, I'm always working a double. And I had a patient who had an elevated temp on night shift. They gave her Tylenol, it went down. Day shift, she had a temp, gave her Tylenol, it went down. That was my shift. Evening shift, she had a temp, gave her Tylenol, it went down. Me as a new nurse, I don't know why it didn't pop in my head. This lady, why does she keep having this temp? Oh, I need to do this and do that and do that. I know it's like, now I'm like how dumb were you? Like, how did you not know that this lady probably had some type of infection going on, that you needed to do more assessments? You had to look further and look deeper into it as a nurse. Like, oh, I just completely whatever. But I left it with the night shift. And so basically what she had to do was they had to do like a chest x-ray on her, full workup, and she happened to have pneumonia. So, but the next day, we have nurse practitioners at my job, and a nurse practitioner came over. She talked to me. She's like, yeah, it's a mistake. Things happen. She's like, but just remember that the buck stops with you. Try to make sure that whatever's going on, you nip it in the bud. And that's so important as a new nurse. You might not know exactly what to do, but you need to know when there's something wrong. And this is something another nurse told me too, because I had a resident that had a trach, and the resident was like, she had like, I swear her respiration was like 40. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, the nurse was off the floor. It was just me on the floor by myself. And the aide was like, she doesn't look right. I'm like, she doesn't look right. So I'm like making sure her oxygen is on and doing all this and looking at her and trying to figure out what I can do. And then the other nurse came in, and basically her trach, the tubing was coming out. So she had about this much out, and you know, with the trach, it has to be flush against the stoma. So she was like, you might have not known exactly what to do, but you knew something was wrong. You knew to come get help, and that's okay. That's good. And when she told me, I was like, you know what, that's true. So like I said, you might not know exactly what to do, but that's the time where you call or you talk to whomever you're working with, and you might not be working with the best of nurses, like right there next to you. So you might have to call over to a different floor, unit, or whatever division, and ask, you know, a very veteran nurse, you know, veteran, seasoned nurse to come over and give you a hand. Nothing wrong with that, okay? And be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if something's wrong, but maybe it seems like it. So that goes back to being humble and being willing to learn, okay? You're new at this. You have to realize that you're not the first nurse and you're not the last nurse. So I hope that you take all these tips and all this information into consideration as a new nurse. It's definitely a wonderful field. Sometimes I still feel like a new nurse. And it's going to be times when you do, and I think that's kind of the beauty of working in this field, is that you're going to be a lifelong learner, in that there's going to be so much out there that you do not know anything about. But you just have to have the positivity and have the curiosity to just get out there and just soak up as much information as possible. So I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and comment. And also let me know if you're a new nurse, or if you've been a nurse for a while. Let me know some tips that you would put out there for new nurses. Or if you're a new nurse, ask some questions below and tell me, you know, ask me some things that you might want to know. I can do maybe a part 2 video. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.